dark chocolate antlers and the white tips. So it's like something you see in a magazine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's not the herd bull, but he's nice. I look over at Kurt. I had this arrow knock, and I had my arrow knock, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, literally, these motions, like 3 times, like this. Don't move anymore.
Welcome to the next episode of the Huntxp podcast. We've got a returning guest with us for this one, Joe Jones, which I've got to say, I think he's probably one of the best storytellers that we've had on this podcast. And so this podcast is just him telling the story of his recent elk hunt, and just sit back and enjoy. But before we get there, we got a cool announcement for Huntxp. We brought on an intern. Her name is Maria Harry. We want to introduce you to her. Say hello, Maria.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 19 years old and I love hunting and photography. I love Jesus, and yeah, I've been hunting for a couple of years, but a couple of weeks ago I shot my deer with my bow.
Yes, that's sweet. Dude, we're stoked for Maria. We're going to try to give her a bunch of great opportunities. We're excited to give you a little bit more experience behind the camera with the podcast. So you'll see Maria maybe in some of the videos, and she'll be the wizard behind the curtain here for our podcast, making things run and editing things up. So we're excited to have you. Appreciate you being here. See ya. Well, Maria's our first intern, but people ask me, are you done with interns? And I'm like, hey, if we can create a valuable experience for you that adds value to what we're doing, and you're interested in an internship, getting out in the woods, trying out a camera, figuring out how to make a podcast, if you're just trying to figure out how to build your creative portfolio and you think it'd be fun to do it with people like us, let's chat. Send me an email. We'd love to expand our team, add value to what you're doing. So, Jonny, we're thick in the season, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So this thing happened to me at church today. One of my buddies just comes up to me because they all know I hunt. He goes, I want to go hunting with you. I'm like, that is the best thing that you could say, man. Appreciate it. Let's go. So tomorrow I'm actually jumping out in the woods with the crossbow set up. So I intended to get all this stuff, this Wicked Ridge crossbow, the blind, all the things for Daniel, my 7-year-old. But turns out my buddy might be the first one to use it. So I'm stoked for that. We got a good wind. We'll keep you updated if something happens. But
I hope it does. I mean, that's fantastic. And I hope your buddy gets a good taste of the outdoors, because I remember you kind of saying he's brand new to it. So I hope he has an awesome experience, and I hope he becomes a lifelong hunter, man. That's awesome.
Let's do it. Let's hook another one. Yeah. It'll be fun. He'll have a great experience. Talk about experience, man. You're about to sit down and buckle up and listen to a long story. And Joe is just a great storyteller. There was at one point where Jonny and I just kind of looked at each other and we're like, we're just going to sit back and take this in, because it's a great story. He goes into detail, and man, if you're up for listening, you're going to hear some things. I know I learned a ton of stuff. I have not been elk hunting yet, and I was taking notes mentally of like this. And that's why we have this podcast, to have people on, give you guys real life and experience. And Joe's a great storyteller, gives us a lot to think about. And at the very end, towards the end, we just break it down real simple and say, what are the three biggest things you learned from this season? And then Jonny offers a little bit more insight from his own experience as well. Let's jump into it, man.
Let's do it. Bring him on.
Bring him on.
Bring him on.
Joe, you're back. Welcome back to the Huntxp podcast. We're excited to have you back, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on with you guys.
Dude, we're excited. We were talking to each other before we hit record here, and I said, you were one of the most fun guests. Not to put down the other guests we had last
Uh-oh.
season, but we had some of the most fun hearing your story, getting to know you. So I've been anxiously awaiting this date that we've had on the calendar to check back in.
All right.
Give us the update, man. What's been going on?
Well, a lot, normal fishing has been doing the last, typically spring we hit trout fishing hard. Shot my first turkey in May. That was pretty exciting.
Right
And then I
on.
had my dove hunt, tradition. That was on Labor Day, which we had a lot of friends and family. Had a great time doing that. My 7-year-old shot his first dove out of the air, which was just because we had just practiced the day before, and he shot his first, like he had shot like 2 or 3 times at skeet, could never hit anything, and then that day before we left, it was later like 3 hours before we left for our trip, he hit one, and then for him to hit
Nice.
one on opening day was sick. And then I've just been actually the whole year been prepping and exercising, trying to trim down, lose weight for my Idaho Elk hunt because last year it was I thought I was prepared, but I was not.
Remember
And
hearing that? It was
yeah, severe
crazy.
cramps, and then like I just kicked my butt in the gym. Did a lot of conditioning, CrossFit type circuit training workouts. I did a sandbag in my hiking pack at 50 pounds, and then I got a 30-pound weighted vest and started doing 50 pounds, so 80-pound walks for about 1 or 2, 3 miles and running a lot. Yeah, so we just got back from my hunt last week.
How was it different with putting all that work in? How did it feel
So I
being
didn't
in the
cramp.
mountains again?
It was amazing. So last year, pretty much my childhood buddy took me out there. We grew up together, went from preschool all the way to high school together. And he's been out in Idaho for about 11 years now. And of course, on my hunt last year was pretty much me following him around. And like I talked about how like walking in the woods there just didn't make sense. Everything looked the same. But then this year, like of course he gave me a lot of pointers. It was just me and my friend, my college friend Kurt from Texas. Like he's a hunter, but we had never really kind of put boots on the ground ourselves and e-scouted. So we did a lot of that and actually paid off. We kind of understand where we were going. We didn't get lost. We didn't get lost
I
at all.
remember
Like,
that story. Yeah.
yeah, Onyx was like perfect, and it's learning the elk woods. The biggest kind of course, we can dive into what happened, but the biggest thing is kind of learning how the elk language and how to respond back to them and what it means. I think really is the biggest takeaway from my trip.
It's great. Before we jump into elk, you prepped us a little bit, or you flew by the turkey. That was your first turkey, right? Can you tell us the first turkey story?
Yeah, I'm kind of backing up around anyone that turkey hunted. Never saw turkeys until probably hunting after college. It really wasn't like no one in high school really turkey hunted. The turkey population in North Carolina is really good on the western part and the eastern part, and Central's decent. It's still got a lot of turkeys, but we just didn't have land that held turkeys, and we would always see them in the fall, after college. And then the last thing, it's either 5 or 7 years I started, and I didn't know what I was doing using a mouth call, and I called in like my first time turkey hunting. I called in a Tom just gobbling his head off. And then he got close, and I just kept calling, kept calling, kept calling, kept calling. I was like, where the heck did he go? Where did he go? So then I figured out, it's like, you need to stop calling because traditionally, once he's like, hey, I'm over here, the hen's supposed to, biologically go to the mouth.
Yeah.
Screwed that up. I did that twice and then didn't really turkey hunt as much. And then this season, I took Parker out. Actually, 2 years ago, I think I took Parker and Colin out to West Virginia, a buddy from Full Rut. We had some close encounters, but then this year, youth season was like the weekend before the adult opener, and I freaking called in a Tom. Like it was a crazy experience. My buddy that actually really knows how to turkey hunt took us out to the property. I got permission last year about the big buck. I don't know if I brought that up. But anyway, so we start hunting, and we had tons of cows in the field because I had already scouted 3 days before the season. There was, a big tom and a couple hens already strutting on like 9 and 10 a.m. I was like, there it is, that's the spot. But when we got in, there was cows everywhere, so we had to kind of ditch our plans and move. And then we set up, started calling, and we heard a tom way across the field, like 300 yards away, and then one behind us, kind of closer. And then like it was kind of around like 8 o'clock, and my buddy was like, he had to go to work. But before that, he was calling, and he calling a freaking coyote, like buzz over the top of the ridge in the field. Parker had the gun because it was youth weekend. I didn't have a gun, obviously, and then we couldn't shoot it. So then my buddy leaves, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna set up along where that Tom came out. So I do some light calls, and then all of a sudden, and I'm like, Parker, he's coming. So like I was just giving him less is more type of stuff, and he got coming closer, and then all of a sudden at 40 yards, I see a hen pop over. And then I could see him crest at like 40 yards, and he was just fan. And Parker couldn't see him because he was to my right, but he would fan. It was just beautiful. And then he kind of like backed off. I think he saw my decoys, or maybe the hen saw my decoys and were like, didn't like that. So they kind of pushed him away. And then I finally called him back. And at 30 yards, he was fanning, and he had turned right at Parker. And I said, Parker, I said, shoot him now, shoot him now. And then he hesitated, and then he turned sideways. But I think Parker shot. I think he shot over top of him and just. But because when he shot, it dropped, and then we got up like screaming, and then he flew off and ran away, so he missed. And then I didn't get to hunt opening weekend. I think I only hunted. So the week I killed the turkey, hopefully this isn't too long. So I hunted on a Monday. I think the season ended on the 10th, which was a Saturday or Mother's Day weekend. I can't remember which one, but it was a hunting on Monday, and I had gone to the same spot that Parker had missed his, and coyotes were just popping off, right? I was like, I can't hunt here. But as soon as the coyotes started calling, a Tom 300 yards across the field started hammering. Like he was every time they would howl. So I was like,
gobbling.
It was like gray light, so I had to like sneak along this stone fence that the property owner has, and then I dropped down as close as I thought I was, but I was still in the field, and I could tell he was roosted. So I started calling right at like 6:19. And they, I was actually doing a lot of Googling. And they were like, sometimes when you call when they're on the roost, they'll stay there until the hen comes and walks underneath them. Then you fly down. So I ended up hanging him up in the tree. I think I called and stopped calling around like every 30 minutes. I'd give him something and he'd just hammer off. So let's just say it's around 7:30. I called in another coyote. He comes over my right shoulder and like behind my right shoulder. So I had to swing and try to shoot with my left. I shot twice. After I shoot, the daggum Tom starts hammering off again. So he never moved. He still never moved. So let's say this is like 8:30. I'm like, crap, I gotta go to work by 11. So like in my mind, I'm like, what if I just act like I move like 100 yards away and start calling, thinking that let him think the hen's leaving. So that didn't work. He was still stayed on the limb. This ended up being around 9 a.m. 9 a.m. I cut the distance.
That's crazy.
And he was in the neighbor got on the not the neighbor, the landowner got on his tractor with the cows, which was like 300 yards away. He starts gobbling at the tractor. And the cows, man, like what in the world? So I think I'm like 75 yards away, and I didn't call. I think I did call him, and I hammered, and I knew he had flew down, and I saw him briefly at like 70 yards. I don't know if I moved too much because I had my shotgun on my lap, but like he just veered away. And then I'm like, screw it. I start walking into the field. Like I'm in the hardwoods. I walk across the barbed wire fence and then get into the field and look up, and he's strutting in the field at 100 yards. I'm like, seriously? So I knew where he roosted. Fast forward to Friday. It had rained the night before. My buddy had told me usually when it rains and thunders, turkeys aren't as vocal. So I had set out a funky chicken decoy and a hen decoy. So if you don't know what a funky chicken, it's pretty much like an immature Jake. It's it's really, really small head. And apparently a lot of male turkeys hate it and will try to beat it up because it just looks puny. So I set that up 25 yards from a tree, and then I'm like, I don't like the setup, so I back up like probably 40 yards. I need to walk it, probably 45 yards away on the barbed wire fence line, and I'm like, I told myself, you're gonna wait till 6:30 to call. You're gonna wait till it's light, and hopefully you're gonna fly down. It was like 6:26. I was like, screw it, I'm calling. So I had a mouth call, and I gave like chirp, 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 chirp. I think I mouth called like yelp 3 times, and then I shut up. And then it goes 5 minutes go by. I have my shotgun on my lap, and all of a sudden I look up, and there's 2 Toms literally out of nowhere, or fit like when I see them, they're 40 yards away from my decoy, and I see them just sprint and stop right in front of the decoys, and then one just starts fanning right in front of it, and I just pull up. I think I turned my GoPro after, so I pulled up and just blasted him, and the other one flew off. And then that was my first turkey experience. It was crazy.
Dude,
Awesome. It's insane.
What
it
a
came in
story.
silent thing at the decoy. I've never seen that before. Well, of course, I'm a newbie.
dude.
Well,
That's awesome.
here's what I liked about this story. Well, two things. First thing is every story you tell is just insanely entertaining because of the way you tell it. But the second part is I love that you like learned. You know, you said you're new to turkey hunting. You learned
Yeah.
throughout the process. You learned from the youth hunt to your first morning sit to Friday. You had a great plan and it paid off. Dude, congratulations. That's awesome.
Great work,
Yep.
dude.
Thanks,
That's
man.
awesome. I'm gonna pause to let our intern on, then we'll keep flowing with Idaho questions here.
All right.
That was such a great story.
Hey, it was wild, man. It was wild.
It's
like
fun.
he literally.
It's fun to like learn more and more, and then like put it together, and then it
Yep.
pays off.
Yeah, got lucky. That Monday hunt was wild. Like shoot at the coyote twice, and he's still just gobbling his head off. Crazy.
Yeah, I've called in several coyotes because they're just like, oh yeah, I love to eat turkey, so they just come flying in.
Oh, and I shot two. Like you can talk about it now, but this summer, so the neighbor had his coyotes. Well, not his coyotes. Coyotes killing the calves, and he sent me this video on his tractor from a coyote 30 yards away in the middle of the day, just chilling and looking at him like it didn't even move or run. I came out the next day. I'm gonna go, bait and put out corn. Do you want me to bring my gun? He's like, yeah, if you see him, shoot him, please. So I had my daughter with me, and normally, my bait station that far away, I'll leave my, car on with the air on, and she stays in the car. But she wanted to come with me, so we opened the gate into the cow field and walked like 20 yards, and I'm like looking 150 yards against the fence, the rock fence wall. And I'm like, is that a coyote sitting on his haunches looking at me? And I'm like, my gosh. So I get me, I'm like, cover your ears. So I move over to a feed corral and I'm scoping him, like, and he turns, like, he sees me and turns sideways. And I'm just like, Hail Mary shot, boom. Didn't see him. So I'm like, did I miss? Then I see another one. I see another one like run. And then I'm like, and it stopped and it faced me. And I'm like, I'm just going to put it right on the top of his head. I didn't know the distance, and my gun was only sighted for 100. I had estimated 150. So I shot, disappeared. I'm like, what? Did I miss? So I walked my daughter, and both of them dropped him.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Landowner
Your
was
daughter's
happy.
like, my dad is the man.
He's like, what happened, Dad? It was great.
Well, Joe, this is Maria. This is our intern. She just started. Maria, this is Joe Jones. He's based in North Carolina, and we're talking to him about his elk trip to Idaho.
He's a returning guest from last year. He runs a really cool Instagram page. Is it still Outdoors in Color, Joe? Is that still what it's called?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Joe. So give us the play-by-play here. How many days were you out in Idaho? And just start walking us through the day, and Jonny and I will jump in and ask questions.
So the hunt
Tell us the story.
That was September 20th through the 28th. Flew in Saturday with my college friend Kurt from Texas. The plan was fly in Saturday. I think it was like 12:31 when we got in. He got a rental. We hit the store to get some essentials. I'd sent some of my food already to my buddy that lives there. And the plan was to get everything from the grocery store, drive hour and a half to the cabin we were staying at, and then hit the woods. So we ended up, my buddy was there with his brothers that I actually grew up with. So he had his two brothers, his youngest brother and his second oldest brother. Neither of them had killed an elk. It was the first time elk hunting. So they were in their little separate group, and me and Kurt were hunting separately, but we were all in the same cabin. So when we got in, we were talking a lot and then packing up. So we ended up not leaving till like 5:30, and then we ended up parking around 6. So we did not get there as fast as we, get hunting what we wanted to. So the plan was to get spike camp settled and then hunt a little bit. But not knowing the terrain or how to traverse it, it took us 2 hours to go like 3/4 of a mile. With Idaho mountains, it's super thick, a lot of finger ridges, steep, nasty. You're going through ravines, buckbrush, small aspens, and then you got your little water sources. So those are thick. So we ended up finding camp around. Well, we didn't find camp. We had a spot marked, I think, a mile and a half away. We only made it like 3/4 of a mile in like 2 hours. So it was like I left like we find this random spot. It was like slight at an angle, right? And I guess water had, there must have been a flash flood, and water had washed away everything. So all this like tall green stuff was like matted down. So like, oh, it'll be comfortable to sleep on. So Kurt's got a 2-man tent. I got a 1-man tent. So we're like, let's just set up your tent, and we'll sleep together. So we set up his tent, and with our sleeping pads and our sleeping bags, it's that nylon, whatever material. So we're just like sliding down the hill, and like we would fall asleep. Like we slept terrible. It was like we got 15, 20 minutes of sleep, but every time we'd fall down, we'd like jump back up to the top of the tent and then like fall asleep, and we'd hear stuff and wake up. Like at one point, Kurt was like hearing footsteps, and like we would wake up like, "Hey, what is that?"
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch, get here. So we did not sleep well. Just to kind of back up, we actually, when we set camp, it was like last night, we let out a bugle and we heard one. It was like, sweet, we're in it.
Yeah.
It was probably like half a mile away, but we were like, we're in it. We hear them.
Yeah, that gets your blood flowing.
Yeah. Well, Sunday morning, we wake up and, cook our little Mountain House, his peak meals. We're like, dang, we didn't sleep. Our freaking, I don't know what to call them. We call them a Celsius bomb. So we put a Celsius powdered energy drink with a element. I don't know if you know what element it is. It's the potassium, magnesium, electrolyte powder. Really, really good. 1,000 milligrams of salt. We do that every morning. We do the Celsius and then the element, and we just be like jonesing, just ready to get after it. So we do that. It's like first light. And
I like, just pause. You using that phrase is just the best.
Yes.
Which one?
Joe Jones saying Jonesin.
Jonesin. I feel like that adds another layer to it. I like it.
So that could be a good T-shirt, Jonesin.
That's what I'm saying.
Man. Do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
So we get up, eat breakfast. It's first light, and I'm like, should I let out a bugle, locator bugle? Like, Kurt's like, yeah, just rip it. So I'm like, real. And that same one that we heard the night before lets off. And I'm like, okay. Nice. I'm like, I'm going to do another one. So I let out another one. And we estimated between 150 and 200 yards. One below us just goes, the bugle's back. It's like, what are you doing here? Get out. Like, we surprised us. Like, you could just tell, like, people that, elk hunt wild can tell, like, really deep growling. They can say it could be a small bull, but like it just sounded big and it sounded like a herd bull. So he growls and bugles back at us, like kind of surprised, like we had like snuck in his bedroom. We had a wallow marked from a previous intel, and we kind of estimated like he was kind of in there. We didn't know if he was a lone bull or had cows, but so like me and Kurt look at each other like, you stay right there. I'm gonna go. I was like, you stay right here. I'm gonna go on top of the ridge, and I'm gonna start bugling some more. So like, we do that. Like, we look at each other like little kids, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So like, he was so
first
close.
Day.
First day. So I pop up, like, and I'm like 30 yards from Kurt, and there's like a 50-yard opening where he would come in, and I give him some bugles. I think he kind of bugles back, and then I'm like, it's just radio silence for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do with my hands? So like, I give him some cow calls. And so I do some cow calls, and I'm just like,
shoot.
So it just, any play we would have been able to make, we would have been able to, like, I think he did just circle us. Like, he was below us already. Like, the wind was already in his favor, but I think he was kind of, let's just say the wind was blowing west to east. Like, he was kind of northeast, and I believe he just trekked and caught our wind and just popped back where he was. So in hindsight, we should have just dropped down, and we didn't check the wind. We were just like looking at each other like, holy crap, what do we do? So then we pack up camp. Camp's like 60, 65 pounds, maybe 70 pounds. So we were like, let's ditch this spot. We're going to go halfway up the mountain, find a spot. So it's like 1,000 vertical feet climb. It's not too treacherous, so we're going along, and we're past halfway to where we want to camp. Well, we had no idea where we wanted to camp, so we hit this meadow, bust a mule deer. We kept telling ourselves we should have got a mule deer tag, because we had this Forky just like, the hop, and then like he stopped 4 yards, like looking at us. We're like, oh, we could have drilled you. So they go away, and then we're like, this meadow's nice. We pin the meadow, see some elk sign in there, and then we move on to we see another meadow, and then we see water, because we were kind of running out of water. So we got water, got our filters out, really packing up, putting our bows back on our pack. And I think I'm grabbing my bow, and I look up in this. So we had got water above the first meadow, and there was another meadow kind of northeast. And I grab my bow and look up, and here I see this bull. I see it for 2 seconds. Head, antlers just back behind his back, and then I see him for 2 seconds. And he kind of not spooked, but he's at a fast pace, just moved across. So he gets his bow. I do some cow calls, and then nothing, and then I just bugle, and he just vanishes. Like, and that is the theme of like elk are freaking ghosts. They're there, and then they're gone.
Yep.
So we don't know what happened, and I'll kind of tell you what possibly could have happened. Like, I think he could have saw Kurt, because there was like I was in front of a tree and I could see the window where he went through, and then Kurt was kind of like in like a 5 to 7 foot window, but we were in the shadows, so I don't know if he saw him, but it was 80 yards away. So we thought maybe he saw Kurt and just like was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm getting out of here. So then we go another 200 yards, and we set up camp. We're like, this is the flat spot, because we're not sleeping on a hill again.
We're
That
not
was miserable.
sliding
So we
down
find
again.
Yeah, so we find a flat spot, and we're literally about to pack up again and go hunt, and then we hear a bugle. What? Kind of in the same direction of that last bull. And then we literally knock arrows, and we're like, that thing is 100 yards away. And then we hear another bugle closer, and we're like, what the heck? So like we start sneaking towards the bugle, and then like 5 minutes go by, and here comes a hunter.
Yeah, I was wondering.
So it's this. Yeah, so it's no. So the first bugle was actually a bull. The
Okay.
second one was a hunter, because he was bugling back at the bull.
Gotcha.
Kind of like younger guy in his 20s, and then his dad was right behind him, probably mid 50s. Had just shot a bull that they were tracking. So we let him know, hey, we did see a bull. He didn't look like he was hurt. I couldn't see any like blood or anything on his side. So we're like, I don't know if that was him or not. But they kind of described the same general area, so we don't know if it was him or not. Because if it was him, it would make sense why he wasn't responsive. Like he was just kind of like going. Because they said he shot him at 30. I think he said he hit him in the shoulder, kind of probably grazed or hit him front of the shoulder, which is not lethal. And he hit him again, which I don't know where the second shot hit. So we're like, good luck. Give us your number. So we got his number in case we found him or stumbled upon him. They head up the ridge, kind of away from us. So we head up the ridge, and we had already these spots that we were going to scope out. A lot of meadows, a lot of benches, a lot of saddles. So we hit all these spots, right? It just looks like beautiful elk country. It's like, if I was an elk, I'd be out in the sun, some north facing slope, be eating, and it's just like, well, they weren't there. Mind you, I'm gonna fast forward. This same area, we did not push past the burn. There was a fire that kind of closed off some of the areas, so we had pushed almost as close to the burn where we couldn't go, but maybe like a quarter of a mile we didn't touch. So then my buddy and his brothers actually ended up going to the same spot on Tuesday. We were here, Saturday, Sunday, right? And so they go Tuesday, and I'm going to back up. So Tuesday, it was on fire in the same spots we were at. So I guess the elk were on rotation, we're not there. So we saw a lot of fresh rubs. We saw a few wallows. And so this is all Sunday. That's just happened. I just talked about. Sunday evening is uneventful. Sunday night, we fall asleep. You talk about our strategy. We're like, we're just going to drop down into these meadows and kind of wait and see what happens. We're just going to wait. It seemed like it'd be a good north-facing slope for them to come to, since we had already seen that bull. So that night, I slept pretty good. But then at like 3:30, I don't know, something just woke me up. And this freaking bull was just, he bugled like 6 or 7 times from like 3:30 to like 3:45. So we're like, that's perfect. He's in the spot. We're gonna, we know where the wind's gonna be blowing. It's gonna be pulling down. We're gonna kind of do a jerry hook into the meadows, and it's gonna be perfect. So we do that, and there's no response. There's no bugles. So we do that till midday, kind of hang out. I mean, we're doing cow calls. My buddy had been like, so we were I wouldn't say tail end of the rut, but apparently the herd bulls had already taken over. So typically your satellite bulls are with the herd early season, and then the herd bulls are usually lone, and then when they break off, whenever they get out of their 7 patterns, they kick the little satellite bulls out and take over the herd, do their fighting if there's another bull that wants to kind of take over. But we had already kind of figured out the bulls had already claimed their herds, and we were looking for satellite bulls that were kind of searching for cows. So my buddy said a lot of cow parties, so like calf calls, cow calls, just to like imitate a herd that it's like unclaimed, kind of like was the theme of the week, because they weren't really responding to bugles because of hunting pressure. Like they had already been bugled at since August 31st. So we wanted to do, the only time we bugled was just to locate in the morning and then close the distance. That was the name of the game. Locate in the morning, shut up with bugling, figure out where he is, close the distance, cow call, see if you get a response. So fast forward through Monday, nothing happens that day. I think we pack up camp, we're going to move since we kind of already traversed everywhere we want to go Sunday. Then Monday, nothing was happening. So we ended up packing up camp and hunting our way back to the truck. We ended up hearing another bugle, but again, nothing happened. Get to the main trail, lost an arrow. I'm like, great, I lost my arrow. I actually remembered, but I'm like, that was half a mile ago. I'm not going back in there because I remember distinctively. I had my bow and my Stone Glacier pack, and it was really nice and secure. But anytime you would, it was probably sticking out maybe 2 or 3 inches above my head. And I think I had snagged a branch and kind of just did one of these and didn't even think about it. And I'm like, that's got to be when I lost it. But so I'm lost an arrow. We get back. We're kind of battered and bruised from hiking a lot. So we go to this place called Cougar Mountain Lodge. It's a great hole in the wall burger place. So we had just amazing burgers. Trina was the waitress and the chef, so she cooked everything. It was just a breath of fresh air. And then we got back to the cabin. I think the boys, the other group had got back to the cabin too, and they were telling us their stories about they had so many close encounters where they were so close to bulls that they couldn't draw, or they drew, and then the bull moved. They had so many encounters because my buddy Jonny, he his 11 years was really trial and error and stalking. That is his even deer hunting. I deer hunt his family ran in Sour City. They hated hunting tree stands. They always just what do we call it? Not spot and stalk. Still hunting. So they literally just move slowly, observe, move every 50 yards, sit still for 10, 15 minutes. They love that type of hunting. So all three of them just really thrive. They were the fittest in soccer. They were all valedictorians, just brilliant. And just I think David, the second one, he's a doctor. He ran a mile in I want to say 4:50. They're just monsters, just freaking mountain goats on a mountain. So they were crushing it. The biggest thing about being fit in the elk woods is you have to catch up to elk, and they're fast animals. You'll hear them, and then they're you feel like they're 300 yards away. Oh, that's easy. That's 2 ridges over, and then you get to the ridges, and they're 5 ridges over. Oh, cool, great. You're fast. So they had great encounters. We game planned. They're we're going to go back to your spot and kind of go push further into the burn where you guys didn't go. So, and then Dennis, the guy that owned the cabin, came in and was like, hey, there's this area, you guys should check out, and, you should let out some bugles. I saw some great sign 10 days ago. A lot of people aren't hunting in this area. So we had his option in the morning, and then we had our 3-day plan of camping out evening and Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, we go our separate ways, and we kind of go through the several trails you had told us. And we got to one trail, and we let off I did a locator bugle. It's maybe 7:30, 7:45, and we got responses. And I think he bugled back 2 or 3 times. I'm ooh. So we drop down and figure out his general area, and then he stops bugling, stops communicating, and then we just go on a rat race of trying to figure him out. So dropping down our elevation, playing the wind, cow calling, nothing. I gotta rewind. So that whole Sunday, Monday hunt in that area, Monday midday, I kicked over this small little hip bone. I'm what is that? And I kick it over, and I still had meat on it. And I'm oh crap. So we walk a little bit further, and there is this mangled calf. So there's a lot of free range cows out in Idaho. So this calf had gotten killed. But before I'd found the hip bone, there was fresh bear poop everywhere. So now I kick over the hip bone, shoot. And then we find the carcass. You guys still there? Or are you frozen?
No, we're good.
Okay. So we see this mangled up calf fur. We're this is 2 days old. So we both are having hang-ups. We literally unholster because we're going up a ridge and want to startle a bear over there because they just had black bears in the area we were at in central Idaho. We're on edge, don't see anything. So then just want to tell that story about we were in bear country. We saw its prints, everything. Hopefully it had winded us and moved on. So then back to the Tuesday morning deal. We try to locate that bull. We're literally just going through the mountain, trying to figure out where he went. He disappears. We run into not a fresh, a 3-week-old mountain lion kill. We're like, great, we're finding all these dead animals and predators. We're
Nice.
good at that. So we do that Tuesday midday, and then we head back to the cabin. I don't know if we head back. So we head back to the cabin and get more water, and then we head out to camp in another spot. So we get to this spot around, let's say, 5 o'clock. It was a 2 mile walk, and we set up camp, and then we start hunting. So we start following this trail, and I get to the end of it, and I start cow calling. It was exactly 6:50. Cow call, cow call, and then a bull just lets off. He just lets off, like, so. Pretty much when you're cow calling an elk, is a bull elk is saying, "Hey, I'm here. Come to me." So he wants that
Yep.
cow to come to me. So what you want to do is close. So we didn't know how far it was. It's really kind of hard to gauge. They always say when they're you always want to think they're closer than they are, than they sound. So I think he might have been. So let's just say he's 4 ridges away. So we're here. He is here. We think he's here. So I'm cow calling, drop down this ridge, come up this ridge, and I'm cow calling. And it's something, I don't know, I switched on because I'm like, we have 6:50. We have like an hour and 15 to make this happen. So like I speed up things. I introduce a bugle, right? Probably not mistake number one. So he did not like that. So he immediately responds, a little aggressive, but then I could tell he moved. So I think he goes to the 5th ridge. So then he was here, right? And we're here. Dip down, go to this ridge, go down, come up to this ridge we thought he was on. And my buddy is 50 yards to my left. Ideally, you want like caller, want your hunter 40, 50, 60 yards in front. So I don't know what happened. We just miscommunicated. So he started flanking, and I'm in front of him cresting the 4th ridge, right? I see brown butt, 50 yards, rural. And I'm like, ooh, it's got antlers. So it goes in this thick alder patch. And I see, it was a beautiful bull. I saw dark chocolate antlers and the white tips. Just like something you see in a magazine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's not the herd bull, but he's nice. So I look over at Kurt. He has this arrow knock, and I have my arrow knock, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, literally, these motions, like 3 times, like this, don't move anymore. Because he's like, I'm cow calling, and like when you bust something, you sound like a elk, and they're typically kind of calmed down, but like he's creeping along, and they hear me, like, knew he was still there in the alder patch. So Kurt creeps around. I'm calling. I hear him bust again. I'm like, thanks, Kurt. But Kurt didn't like, he read as like, keep going. So I'm like, so in the elk hunting world, satellite bulls will often be very silent, but they will be investigative. So hindsight, we should have just like taken our time ish, or when we crested the ridge, kind of like ease, because he was kind of coming to us to investigate. And like satellite bulls, from my not in my opinion, but obviously I'm a second year elk hunter. They are quiet. They will sometimes bugle, but he was really being sneaky, because that's what they do. Like when a herd bull has cows, one of the heat, they'll sneak around and try to breed another cow in the herd, or they're just sneaky. So we bust him, and again, so we bust him on the 4th ridge. So we're going down the ridge, and I'm cow calling. I hear what I think is a cow responding back, but it ended up being a calf, which I'm still going to shoot a calf. I'm shooting anything at this point, anything legal. The tag we had was cow or bull. No restrictions on the bull, no restrictions on the cow calf. So we're going down the ravine. I didn't know, but Kurt was on the other side of the alder patch. I could just hear him. So he's still 60 yards apart. Apparently, the same cow he had at 20 yards, like he said, he had his foot up on, like, about to step on a branch, and she caught his movement, and they had to stare off for like 5 minutes. He sees, so she kind of goes down the ravine and goes up the ravine, and then he hears the satellite bull still there. So the satellite bull dips down. I think the satellite bull was. So I hear the satellite bull. Like if Kurt had been with me, I think that satellite bull would have stayed around, because typically what they do, they'll bust down the ridge, look back, and then they'll climb up halfway up the ridge, look back. And he had looked back, and I think where Kurt was, he couldn't see him, but like I could just see like where he was. So like if we could have played that a little bit better. So that satellite bull bus and that calf just kept kind of staying around. So I had no idea Kurt had an encounter with it. So all of a sudden I'm pretty much right down in the ravine, and the ridge is going up, and I see her. And I see her looking at me, but I'm cow calling. So she's like, oh, it's just another, cow. So then she looks at him. So I'm like, oh, yeah, it's time. So I range, like I'm panicking, I'm ranging. So I do click, click. I'm like 39, 39. I had a little bit of brush, and I did not notice she had a rock. Just imagine you're kind of at this angle looking up. She had a rock, and she was right behind the rock. And my gut, it told me 50. Like just looking on it, that's 50. Our range, I'm like, trust the range, but I didn't, like, in the panic of this, like, range, I'll call. I'm like, I already had my 30-yard pin, a 40-yard pin, my 50-yard pin. I was like, do I do 40? Do I do 50? I'm like, just shoot 40. You'll kill her. So I got this on GoPro. The whole experience was incredible, just the bull booming back. So I have it. I'm looking over it, getting my sight, and just let it rip. And then you hear the smack and the sparks. So I'm like, crap! I hit the rock. I hit the rock underneath her, so she spooks.
Shoot.
And after I shoot, this bull is still hammering off because, like, every time he bugled, I try to cut him off just to piss him off. That's all I knew. Like, just want to be on top of a bull and like dog him. So we're doing that. He was on the 5th ridge. So again, busted satellite bull, 4th ridge. Cow is on the uphill ridge of the 5th ridge. So I shoot at her, and then she goes away. So we're cresting it. And dude, hopefully the video will be out this weekend. I'm proud of myself of having this interaction because I had never elk called last year. Everything I learned was just watching Elk 101, Corey Jacobson, just watching their YouTube videos, trying to mimic them. So like I knew how to chuckle. Like if you watch my Instagram, like I was annoying my kids and my wife, like learning how to chuckle. So my chuckle was bang average. So like I'm learning how to challenge, and then I'm learning how to, what was the call? Like trying to do a roundup bugle, like I'm rounding up his cow. So like just trying to throw that at him, his energy. So we get over to the 5th ridge, and he's on the down side of that 5th ridge, and he is, in my opinion, was within 30 to 50 yards, but such thick brush. And I can't see Kurt in front of me at this point, and while I'm having the bugle, like screaming at, like we're going bugle for bugle. So in this 20-minute time span, he probably bugles back at me 13 to 15 times. So I knew I had him like kind of ticked off. So I think why he kind of stayed is because I had that calf, and I had stopped cow calling, which I think was my mistake. Because I think in that scenario when he's 50 yards away, Kurt thinks he was 30 because Kurt was in front of me. He saw his antlers, so I'm freaking breaking stuff. Like I'm acting like I'm building big balls, and I'm coming through. I'm breaking stuff. Like you'll see the video. I'm breaking stuff. I'm challenging them. So there is like a 5-minute window where I'm like, this is happening. Like I thought he was gonna come right at me, and Kurt in his mind was like, oh my God, I got him dead direct. All he has to do is step out. So there's this hesitation. I did not know what to do at that point. And I've talked to my buddies, like, you never know at this point. Like, I think he was just kind of waiting for you to make your move. And at that point, he had already had his cows behind him, as I could hear them chirping off. So he felt safe. So what we had, and I didn't discuss, is we had a private property line. Like we were like 5,200 yards off of it, and he was way on it. But then I think his cows had dipped down in the private, and then once he felt that he was in between me and his cows, and there was no threat, he just silently just dropped down and took his cows away. So we were like freaking. We talk about we're jacked. Like this was an incredible experience. Like even if I missed, doesn't matter. That was like crazy an experience to like challenge your bull, have him interact with you was incredible. That was like a success in my book. So we're on that high.
That'll keep you coming back. That'll keep you coming back every year.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's what gets
you. So what's crazy is while that was happening, is 2 other bulls knew there was a screaming match going on, so they started piping off, like kind of like coming closer to like investigate. Because so apparently, I'm kind of going back to the other group, my buddy. So it was 3 of them. David was an inexperienced elk hunter as far as calling; he didn't have any calls. But Jonny, really good really good caller. Knows how to read a elk language to the best of his ability. And then Jimmy was new to elk hunting, but he knew how to bugle, he knew the cow call. So that same night, they had an incredible experience. So Jonny started a cow party. Jeremy goes like 300 yards away and is like advertising cows to him, and then Jonny starts bugling like they're fighting over this like elk, like over these cows. So like they pretty much created a cow party and two bulls like squaring off. Just like Jonny was like going back and forth, just ripping through, breaking branches, like give me my girls back, and the other and Jeremy's like, no, they're mine. So they said they had 5 bulls like come in. So they had miscommunication. So apparently, so David's in the middle of this chaos. David thought the bull that was behind Jeremy was the most interested. So he leaves to go to Jeremy. Jeremy thinks David is back there. So Jeremy kind of, I think, moves closer. And Jeremy and David's going back to where Jeremy is. So that bull kind of gets disinterested. And then Jeremy's battling the bull. Jeremy gets closer to the bull where David was, and if David was there, he would have had like a 10-yard shot apparently. So they had an encounter with 5 bulls doing a cow party and then bugling back and forth, which is really smart to do. So they had a really, really good hunt that same Tuesday. Like they were fired up. So Tuesday dies down. We go to camp just like on a super high note. Like I missed, I don't care, but I had that amazing experience. So we wake up, we have a game plan of pretty much finding where they, because when we hit Ridge 4, we found all their beds. So we're like, this is where they bedded. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait till the wind switches. You know, so in the morning, Coyer, thermals are pulling down. That's in their favor, and they had bedded on private. So we're like, we're just going to wait. We're going to get as close as we're going to locate first. So we located. We had 3 different bulls. This is Wednesday morning, by the way. So we had 1 to our direction southeast, 1 to our east, which was the one we had an encounter with the day before, and then we had 1 kind of northwest. We knew that bull in the east was the one to go after because he was probably the same bull. Because we could just kind of, when you hear a bull, you can typically tell he's the same one based on his sound and his mannerisms and how he chuckles. So we decided to like hop 2 ridges when they're 4 ridges away, and we just wait for the wind to switch, typically around between 9 and 11, or depending on when their sun hits. When the sun hits the mountain side that heats up the mountain in your hot air, the wind switches. These elk are very smart. They'll take their time coming up the mountain because they have the wind in their favor coming down, and then they just know biologically when that wind switches. So they're going to be in their feeding area when that wind switches. They've protected themselves from anything below them, and now anything above them, the wind is, coming up to them. So we thought that would happen. We hear that bull off at 6:30, and then we get in the place around 7:30. We're just sitting, just waiting. And then 10 o'clock comes, and we're bugling. So this bull bugled from 6:30 to us all the way till 5 p.m. So we ended up, so around 10 or 11, we're like, let's just go to his bedding. The wind is coming up. We're in his favor, so maybe we'll just camp there, and luckily, maybe they'll come up. So we sat there. We sat there, and I did cow parties. My buddy's like, do it every 30 minutes, because every 30 minutes, I cow call. Here we go. But he pretty much tell me like, hey, I'm down here with my cows, but you can come down. And we're like, we can't. You're on private. And he's like, well, that's your problem. so literally from when we got to the bedding area, from again, he was bugling at 6:30. We got to the bedding area around 10 or 11 when the wind was going up. He bugles back every hour. So then we're like, what if, so we're going back to Tuesday. What if he just waited until the wind switched again in the evening and then moved into feed? And we're like, let's just drop off. Let's go back 2 ridges and then wait for the wind to switch back down to the mountain. So we drop off. We figure out right when the wind is switching. So we do that. When we get to the spot, we're just hanging out and hoping they are going to come up 2 ridges over. We hear this hoarse, you know how a deer snorts?
Yeah.
I didn't realize elk did that, but apparently they do. So it sounded like a horse. It was just deep. It wasn't guttural, but it was like a horse snorting. Really was. So we're like texting my buddy, like, elk do that? So we're like, maybe that is an elk. They just played off, and then we noticed our wind is going straight down the ridge. So if any elk are coming that way to my calls, they're gonna smell us. We maybe 6:30, and we're like, what is happening? We cow call, and that same stupid bull is just responding back, hey, I'm here, I'm not moving, pretty much. 6:30, 6:45 comes, and all of a sudden we hear the elk bark. So elk kind of do this sharp, kind of sounds like a chihuahua bark, kind of real sharp and sweet. So we hear that. So whenever you hear that, you bark back, and because pretty much it's saying, hey, there's danger. And then when you bark back, you're pretty much saying, hey, I'm over here. What are you barking at? Kind of. kind of. So we did that, and then light fade. So whatever was kind of coming, we kind of blew that with the wind. So that was Wednesday, and then what did we do So Thursday, let's go to Thursday. So Thursday, we kind of figure out like that area is kind of not blown out, but like this bull has got us. Like he's not going to move. Like it's just going to be like. So we ended up doing this giant loop to kind of like investigate further up the mountain, and then because like we knew there was at least 2 other bulls in the area, so we pack up camp. We say we're going to drop camp down because we were going to leave Thursday night. So we dropped camp close to the main trail, then double back, and then find this other trail further up the mountain. And then we see a lot of mule deer sign. We see a nice mule deer rub, what we think. And then Kurt's like, why don't you just call over here? So I call a few cow calls, and then I see some, like, I noticed my cow call was kind of active. It was sounding like really high pitched. So I noticed there was some like piece of like a dirt, maybe like a little twig that was in there because I kept dropping my call. So like after I cow call, I'm like blowing on the reed. So when you blow on a reed, it can give like a high pitch like sounds. So I was doing that. So I flung that like, and then we got back on the trail, and this is literally like 3 minutes later, we're walking, and Kurt, we're literally talking loud. Like we're not at the destination we're at. We're just kind of just walking and talking normal, and all of a sudden I freeze. 30 yards in the freaking brush, I see these giant legs just go. I'm like, I said, Kurt, turn around, because Kurt had his bow in his back. So I unclip his bow, and I lose sight of where it was because like I see it clear as day. He took 4 steps toward us, but like he was parallel to us on the downside of the ridge. It was definitely a bull because it was just really, really tall. But they are so, when they want to be silent, like my buddy was like, they can be ghosts when they want to. Like when you bust them, you can hear a branch break, but like after that, they bust, you can't hear them run off. Like they're just, I don't know how they do it. So he doesn't. So this bull doesn't bust. He doesn't know. Like I feel like he was investigating my cow calls, and we were just throwing out cow calls. And like so, I think he was like investigating, and we had zero clue other than. And then we were talking, so he was probably like, "What the heck is that?" So Kurt gets his bow, and by the time I focus my attention, I'm like, he's gone. He's not where he was. And then we start hearing cow calls. I'm like, Kurt, double back to where I was, drop down, but in hindsight, he should have dropped down all the way in the bottom. So then I start cow calling, and I just hear branch breaking. And then I introduce a bugle. And then for some reason, I hear a bugle back, but it's kind of like on the opposite side of the ridge. I'm like, is that another hunter? Because it was like people talk about how, bulls can sound like a normal, majestic bugle. And then they'll be like, some sound terrible, freaking cat dying, or like like some people even said like they'll sound like dogs barking like when they chuckle. So I hear this chuckle, and I'm like, surely that is not a bull, that's a hunter. Kurt comes back to me. No, Kurt's still down low. I kind of circle around and drop down in, and then I hear some more cow calls. I'm like, what is that? So it's really, really thick. And then Kurt kind of comes back to me, and then we're kind of cresting the ridge, and we hear more cow calls. We both have an arrow knock, and then we're like, crap, that's a hunter. So we're like awkwardly walking over the ridge again to another hunter, and he was like, he was really cool. So like, I was like, it's like, did you cow call? I was like, yeah, I was cow calling. I was like, did you bugle? Sound like you were bugling. He's like, no, I didn't bugle. He's like, that bull was like, I heard your bugle and that bull was bugling. And then I heard him. He said he saw them kind of jet off. Just kind of learning from that mistake is just always have your head on a swivel, especially after you call. Just kind of the nature of what was going on that week. Bulls were being very silent. Whatever I called to was just creeping up on us, and we didn't realize that we had a guard down. So we talked to that hunter, and he kind of gives us advice where to go, hit this logging road. And so we were going to do this giant loop and come on the farthest northern side of where we hadn't gone, and maybe we would catch up on some of those bulls. So I'm cow calling every 30 minutes, and we end up not hearing anything. We bust mule deer again. I could have shot a doe. Thursday we finally get to opposite side. Like they were on that 4th ridge, remember? So we looped around to like the 8th ridge. So let's just say we're 3 ridges behind that ridge that bull fiasco was on Tuesday. So what happened? So for some reason, I don't know if something bust. I think something bugled. And for some stupid reason, either it bugled or it bust. I think it bugled. And for some stupid reason, I bugled back. and whatever it was did not like it and just busted. He bugled it, and I don't know why. I just reflex was like, I'm just gonna bugle back, but I really should have cow called. And this, whatever it was like 50 yards away, and I think it was like a satellite younger bull that had just kind of like was like, oh crap, that's a bull. I'm getting away from here. So then what happens? So we park in that same area. I'm calling. It's probably like 5 o'clock around there, and then we're pretty much sitting still, and we keep hearing this sequence, and we're like, first like that's just a bird. We hear it for like an hour, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Because it really sounded like a bird. So then we hear a bugle, and so that bird sequence ended up being a hunter, right? So when I had bugled back at that bull, that's when that noise had started. But then I'm like, Kurt, that noise is not a bird. It has not moved. It's still like 300 yards above us, and it's still doing like it was awful. It was very robotic. Like I probably sound the same way to another hunter. So we hear a random bugle like off side of that. So we don't know if it was another hunter with that cow caller. So I was cow calling, and that hunter kept calling back at me. So then we're like, screw this. So we move on, get to the fourth, fifth ridge where that bull was, and we cow call. And guess what? The same bull bugles back, and he's on private. So that's the end of Thursday's hunt. So that's something that we hike out Friday. What happens Friday? So we had found this huge, really nice open basin area where it was like a giant meadow. It was really brutal to get in there. My buddy was thinking of hunting there with his brother, so they ended up not going there. So we're like, this is a spot we hasn't hunted. Let's try it. It was like an hour, 15-minute drive, and it was like really desolate. We lost signal 30 minutes in. We're like, where the heck are we going? And what are we getting ourselves into? So the area was incredible. Like we did not see any elk, but like it was a blessing just to be in God's creation. Like the hike was brutal. It was 1,000-foot elevator. We were like 6,000 feet, and it was like 7,000 feet where we wanted to be, but it was like straight up 1,000 feet of elevation gain, which is anyone says 1,000 feet of elevation gain and it's tough. It's usually really hard. So we were literally like in between rock faces, and so you can tell the terrain was a lot different. It was more alpined out, really rocky, kind of something you probably see in Colorado. So we get in the area, we see a ton of mule deer sign, and then all the elk sign we see was like 4 weeks ago, where it was like maybe there was a solo bull in there. So we hike back down, and a funny story is when we're going up, we're going up in this yellow brush that was kind of up to our waist, so it was really annoying because we couldn't see what was below us, and we would hit deadfall that we couldn't see, or a rock, and we tripped. Coming down the mountain, it was annoying because it's a little more steeper and a little bit more risk of falling forward. We started walking on top of the deadfall. Like you had deadfall this way and another one this way and another one. So we started just like catty corning. Actually, we're moving faster. So I do this video. I'm like, don't fight the deadfall. Be one with the deadfall. So like I'm literally my buddy videos and I'm screwing across it, and then I hit something. I checked my arrows. I'm like, oh, I got 4 arrows. Since I had 5, I lost one. I had 4 arrows. Like I'm good. And then fast forward a mile away, and we're down the bottom, and I check my bow, and I'm missing another arrow.
No.
I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. So I lost an arrow, and then also I take my release off because I knew there was no elk in the area. We were probably quarter of a mile from the truck. I thought I hooked my release onto something, but apparently I lost my release, and I didn't realize I lost it till we got in the truck and we're like an hour away. So I lost my release on that trip. Friday evening, what did we do? Friday evening, I think we just Hail Married and kind of went back to the spot we went to Tuesday through Thursday. Nothing happened. And then Saturday's interesting. So Saturday we planned to go back to the spot we went to on Sunday, Monday, and go farthest north to the burn that no one had went to. So we're driving on top of the mountain, literally on top of the mountain. I'd never been up there. My buddy had never been up there. So we were in a rental, 4x4. So we were kind of sketched out.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's a rental. Just go.
Yeah, it's a rental.
Just send
so
it.
It's like, so it's 6:20, 6:31, 25 minutes away from the spot. We see this 5-point just scurry across the road. So we're like, what do we do? Because it's like 30 minutes before our first flight. I text my buddy like, dude, just park and try to follow him. So we parked, and we look on the map. We're like, he's either going to this ravine or this ravine. There's a meadow here. And there's a river here, so we choose right. I think we're following his tracks for the most part. Like we could clearly see like fresh tracks the entire way up the mountain. So we find this beautiful meadow, like it's just cliffed out, like on top of them. Like you see the top of the mountain, and then you see this just on X. You see it's cliffed out, and then you see this giant meadow with, and it's a recent burn. We're like, dude, this is the spot. So we get up halfway up the mountain, a cow call, and then a bull responds. So we're like, we thought he was in this area. So we take our time because the wind is at this point, what's the wind doing? So the wind was still pulling down, was in our favor. We were waiting for it to switch. And so let's just say here's the mountain. Well, you can't really see it. Here's the top of the mountain. Here's this area.
Mhm.
We think he's here. So we kind of go all the way around and wait for the wind to go up. So we bust a couple mule deer. We see fresh elk sign. We drop our packs. I call, and we think he's 300 yards away. He's still in the same area. We do this giant loop, which probably took about an hour. We sneak up in the perfect spot. It was a beautiful plan, and he wasn't there. He wasn't there. He disappeared. And we're bummed out. We're like, crap, man, it just seemed so perfect. Like we waited for the wind to switch. We knew he was in the general area. So then we let our started not let our guard down, but we went back out our packs. And as we're getting our packs on, we look up, and this mule deer it was a nice, that's the mule deer word, say 3x3. I mean, nice buck all day. So we see him like walking, and then suddenly, so our wind is going this way, and he's kind of on top of the side of the ridge, and then he sees us, and he's like, looked at us for 30 seconds. And we're like, why didn't we get a mule deer tag? Like he was 40 yards for 30 seconds. So then
That's the theme of the trip. Why don't we have a mule deer tag?
So he skirts us and then finally wins us and blows out. And then we end up working our way down the mountain, but we ended up finding the dang elk tracks we misread his bugles. He was not in that grassy patch. He was working, trying to think of direction when he was working. We came from straight east, and we thought he was north west. And he ended up he's working pretty much northwest to kind of southwest, and we read him wrong, and we were cutting their tracks, but we couldn't catch up to him. We got to where the second draw, we were like, he's either left or right. So we went to the draw. So, yep, Saturday, we went after that bull that we saw run across the road in front of us, and then we trailed the tracks and it was, it could have been in that ravine. We called. We're like, we're not going in that nasty stuff. So we went back to our original plan, got on top of the mountain, and we were going to do a giant loop in the same area we went Saturday through Monday. And it was uneventful, beautiful area. The elk were not there again, but again, Tuesday, when we left that same spot Monday, my buddies went Tuesday, and they were in like 3 or 4 different bulls. So I don't know what happened. We went on a rotation. So that was the end of the trip. I don't regret anything, even though I missed. It was an incredible experience, and I learned a lot. I'm definitely fired up about elk hunting and wanting to learn how to read their language and, what makes them tick and how to, kick them off.
Well, thank you for walking through the story with us. I feel like there's XP all over that story. When I was listening to you tell the story, I was thinking about this phenomena in like formation or development called a J hook or a J curve.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the story we've tracked, you started on such a high the first year you went.
Yeah.
And this season was like down in the J curve.
Yeah.
And I can tell talking to you, all the things that you picked up this last season, like you are going to come into the mountain so much more confident when you go back. Could you synthesize maybe 3 of the biggest takeaways from this year in short order? Like, here are the 3 things I'm going to do differently, or 3 things that I learned this year at the bottom of that J curve that are going to trend better for you when you go back, I think.
These things, I already said, like fitness is key. Yeah. Like if you can't get the elk, if you're not prepared to. So I won't really say that's a point, but fitness was key because I was able to stay in the game, never cramped like I did the year before. Learning how to read a bull or like just know how because like people don't realize, like when they hear elk, people just like, oh, he's bugling, but like there's so much meaning into what they're saying. And the same thing with cows, like there is so much meaning in their emotions and how they say it, and each bugle means something different. So I think deep diving and kind of knowing how to, when you get a response from a bull is my next like learning point is like, what is he saying to me? What do I need to do? How do I need to react? And like, how do you like listen to, I've been listening to podcasts. Like I think my kids and my wife were sick of me talking about elk hunting. I was watching YouTube videos nonstop since January. Like I was, but not January, since I got back last October, but like just soaking up as much knowledge as you can. And you don't get that knowledge without first-hand experience, so you have to fail. Like, you know, obviously I got lucky with my buddy knowing the area and killing on day 2. That's just a lifetime experience of a lifetime. But knowing how to read elk language would be definitely a point. Always be aware of your surroundings and don't let your guard down, because had we been aware of, like, you know, in the down times of getting water, we saw that bull. Like if we were like in the zone, which is kind of be hard to be in the zone when you're like getting water, and just have your head on a swivel. And that second time we had called and kind of like, you know, just like nothing's happening, nothing's here, and then we're talking loud, and then I see elk legs at 30 yards. So when you call, be ready for something to sneak in on you. So I think, sorry, I'm kind of going over everything. So learning how to read elk language, how to respond, how to react, when to chase the elk, when to slow down. Second was just, you know, have your head on a swivel when you call. Just be aware that satellite bulls will come in silent, because that happened to us, not just the 80-yard bull, the bull that was at 30 yards in thick brush, but the satellite bull we busted. Had we been slowed down in the moment, we probably would have been able to have a shot at that satellite bull. I guess is that 3 points? Kind of?
Yes.
Ish.
Yep.
So fitness, reading the elk language, and having your head on a swivel.
Love it.
And e-scouting. And e-scouting is very important. Obviously, boots on the ground is better. Have a plan, have a backup plan to that plan.
Yeah. Jonny, I'm curious, listening to Joe's story and having elk hunted before, if there's anything that you heard Joe talk about that you learned yourself hunting in Colorado, or some things that you resonated with.
All right. So listening through Joe talk, I mean, I think of like my first years elk hunting too, and the learning curve was just exponential. Every time you went out there, you learned something new tactic, whatever. I think it's hilarious, the mule deer thing, because that, if you remember, like the first article I wrote for Huntxp, and the first piece of advice I gave was, when you go elk hunting, always have a mule deer tag in your pocket, because you run into mule deer like crazy and you have so many opportunities. That's why we always went second rifle out in Colorado, because you could get a mule deer tag. First rifle, you couldn't. So they went a few years like that, and you'd see just giant mule deer bucks. Then we started going second rifle, because you could harvest a mule deer too. So always have a mule deer tag in your pocket for sure. But again, with Joe, it's like you're learning every single day. You're putting things into play. It didn't work out this year, but you were in them, and it's going to pay off the next time, or, you know, the next few times, because of what you learned this trip. So, and the other part too is like the experience, even if you don't harvest an elk, is still just incredible. And I think that makes it worthwhile, regardless of if you harvest or not.
Joe, this has been fantastic, dude. We can't wait to have you back in here next year, where you get to put all those things into practice. And
yeah,
I mean, the people who stick at it, the people who keep hunting, are the people who enjoy the learning process, not just the kill. And that's clearly you. And you clearly are like stacking skills really fast. And it's really fun to follow you along on your journey. You said the video will be out soon. I would imagine about the same time this podcast comes out, the video will probably be out. So if you haven't seen it yet, head over to Joe's YouTube channel and check that out. Dude, we just love catching up with you, man. We love what you're doing. Appreciate having you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm willing to chat anytime, and you guys are, you know, feel like you're one of my college buddies, just reconnecting.
That's what we're here for, man. It's good. Yeah. Thanks, dude.
You're welcome.
Behind the scenes bonus banter. Dude, well, we're
Joe, don't be on and on it, man. Don't be doing that.
I'm trying to.
It is almost 9:00 where he is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
He does have a little excuse for that. Yeah. We do get some questions about the timing of the recording of this, but we're like, dude, we're dads. This is what we got. This is what we got to work with. So
yeah, no, it's perfect timing after I put the kids to bed.
See, you get it.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect timing.
You get it. Our intern might awkwardly jump on here. If she does, we'll just pause and say hello, and then she's going to be in the background because she's starting to edit these for us, and she just listens in, so it's a little faster process for her. So
Okay.
yeah. What's good with you, man? It's been fun to follow along since last year.
Yeah, it's good, man. I just got back from Idaho. Are we recording? Sorry.
We're just shooting the breeze, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go through what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I just got back Sunday, and it's been like I've been having the what do you call it? Not depressed, but just like hearing bugles in my sleep, or just like, man, I wish I had a couple more days. It was
Yeah.
phenomenal though. It was a great trip.
It's
Learned a
good.
lot.
That's what you're here for, man. I think tonight I'm just like, hey, let's check in with Joe, see what he's been up to, what he's after, and then break down your hunt a little bit if you're up for that, the Idaho hunt,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and what you learned from it. And I think that'll be plenty of time, and we can just, I would say you were probably one of the funnest podcasts we recorded last year. It was a lot of fun, man. We really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I killed my first turkey this spring. I know you want to bring that up, but that was an experience.
Oh yeah. Well, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying seeing all the pictures. You and your kids fishing. Looks like you got into some trout over the summer and everything. That looks sweet.
Yeah, we were slaying the trout. Yeah, pretty much April to May or June, we're heavy on trout fishing.
Awesome.
Yeah. We tried to line up going to your cabin, but I don't think dates worked out.
That's all good, man. It's there for you if you want to.
I've been wanting to go down that way for a while.
It's pretty, particularly right now. I mean, the leaves are gorgeous down there in October.
Y'all are in Wisconsin, Michigan?
I'm Wisconsin. JD's Minnesota.
Minnesota, hey, Minnesota. Has y'all season started yet?
Yep. Yeah. We're archery season starts the 15th of September.
It's the same time as mine. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
My son, one of my sons, the one with the mullet, he shot his first buck this year, and it was a nice 9-pointer. So that was pretty sweet.
With his bow?
Crossbow. Yeah. He's 7.
That's sweet.
That's
sick.
Yeah.
Were you in there with him? Of course, you probably were in there with him.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's better than any like hunt or biggest animal you killed. It's just so different and exciting.
It is. And it's so fun to watch them too. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And then it's so fun to watch them get so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
I have a plot twist. I thought the hunter that I would be taking out for the first time was my son this year, but my buddy comes up to me at church today and he goes, I really want to hunt with you, man. I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. He's like, I've never done it before. I have my firearm safety though. I'm like, well, let's go. And he went and got his license today, and I'm taking him out tomorrow. I'm like, you're in luck. We've got a northwest wind. It's going to be prime. Let's go for it.
You guys gun season already?
Well, no, he's going to go with the crossbow. I got, when we were talking about it and his schedule, we only have like a 2-week gun season. So it just gives us a lot more flexibility for him to get a crossbow. Yeah. And my zone, actually, it's only 1 week. Most of the state, it's 2, but.
So that's why you got the Orange Army. Everyone's like, you got 1 week to get it done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wisconsin is 10 days. Minnesota, most places is 2 weeks. But yeah, it's short.
It's very short. Yeah. So the Orange Army is a real, like, that opening day is like a holiday in Wisconsin. Yeah. So good stuff. Well, I was just texting back and forth with our intern. So if she hops on. Yeah. And if you ever, my other question for you is I'm going to go hunt in Illinois in November, and Jonny can't come. But if you want to, there's a spot. I can't pay for you to come. But if you want to come hunt, I'll be down there. I've got some private. It's like $500 the tag, but I've got some private and some public, and I'm staying with my buddy down there. But just thought I'd throw your way, but I'll be in.
Dude,
It'd be November 10th through it's like peak rut. That week of the 10th is when I'll be down there.
Gosh, that's a dream. It's 100% yes, but that's without consulting with my wife and my 3. I'm going to go ahead and say it would be a solid no, but you know, obviously that opportunity only comes up. I mean, if you shoot me the text the dates, but it's
I'll text you.
I work in retail.
No pressure.
It's my heart is 100% yes, but reality is like a 10% chance.
Well, I'll go down there, and if
you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Like, there's like a 2% chance.
I'll just shoot a booner, and I'll send you and Johnny the picture, and then next year you're definitely got to come with me.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I do want to do an out-of-state whitetail hunt. I've never done that before.
Yeah,
a deer can't.
Dude,
it'd be a good time.
You're on our short list for an invite, man, for sure. So
send me those dates.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I'll send you the dates for sure. All right, dude. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
All right. See you, Joe.
Hey there, thanks for watching this video. I'm JD, founder and crew member of the Huntxp team. We're so grateful that you took time to watch this video, and hopefully it's helping you level up your hunting game. That's what we in our community is all about, and we want to invite you into this growing community of hunters. It's all about leveling up each other's hunting game. So the first thing you can do is like and subscribe, but even more than that, we got some fun things going on over at our website, Huntxp.com. We'd love for you to join our community there and stay connected with what we're doing, what we're working on, and we'd love to hear about what you're after. So thank you for watching this video. We'll see you next time.